All right, we are live Tuesday night, 9 p.m. as always, ramping up for deer season. I'm trying to get my light fixed here. Been filming with it for 10 minutes. Going to give some folks time to get on. We have a special guest tonight. I'm not going to say guest. I'm going to say co-host.
Yeah.
Mike, our usual co-host, is in Florida, watching down there. I think in Destin, and so our good friend Rich Storm, Commissioner of Fish and Wildlife, is here and taking Mike's place. Rich, I really appreciate you, man.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here with you tonight. Always good to talk to you, John, and engage in the outdoors. And I'd like to see Mike, but he's got higher priorities, and he needs to get him a suntan there on the beach. So anyway, honored to fill in, and hopefully I can be half the man Mike is tonight.
Oh yeah, yeah. Hey, Mike's a hard shoes to fill. There he is, first one on. Mike says, "Good evening, Rich." He didn't say good evening to me. I'm here every night, every week with him. Rich putting in time.
There,
Watching from 30A. I guess that's his hotel room. Jimmy Carroll's here. Says thanks for joining, Rich. Jimmy's here every week. Josh Wilson. I'll tell you a funny story. So, my brother and his wife just had a baby 2 days ago. Yesterday, I think yesterday. Sorry to my brother for not knowing. I've not seen her yet. She's out in Western Kentucky. So, in our group chat, let's see when that was. So this was Saturday. They'd went to the hospital. They thought the baby was on the way. So Josh and his wife were at the hospital with the baby, or about to be the baby. Mike said, "I just passed Nashville, going to Florida, so I was taking bets on what's going to happen first: the baby be born, or Mike get to Florida." And I said, "Hey, we got a good race going on here," but they both got. I think Mike beat him actually. So, but hey, if my brother's watching, so happy for him. He has an 8-year-old boy, and now he has a little girl. And I told him, "Rich, you have two girls." I said, "Look, that's always going to be your boy, but that girl's just going to be. There's something just a little special about those girls."
well, on that note, I have to make a confession. I have been relatively lazy when it comes to gun maintenance
Yeah.
and and certainly cleaning guns, but mine are epically clean now. I have had some different activities going on with
Because your girls are getting older.
oh my goodness, and so all of a sudden, Dad, I used to be cool, and they used to laugh at my jokes, and
Yeah.
they're cutting up with me, but now all of a sudden there's eye rolling, and there's Dad, leave us alone, please
It
don't
hurts.
say that. And so yeah, we've been cleaning guns on the tailgate, and um, we're we're keeping on guard here in the
Just let
storm.
them know who's in charge here. Hey guys, thanks. Hey, listen, we appreciate everybody watching. Gary's a Tennessean, but he's watching from Illinois. He travels with the railroad. Let us know where you're watching from. Looks like Chuck is watching from Central Kentucky. Hey, here's what we really appreciate. Make sure you like it. Make sure you share this on your own page. Let your friends. I know all of you, half your Facebook friends are your hunting and fishing buddies, so they probably don't know that Rich is on here. We even have a show, so share it with them on your page and let them know what's going on. We appreciate it. We're going to talk a lot. It is July 30th. So we're about, I guess, 5 weeks away, just over 5 weeks away from the Kentucky archery opener. This year's a little later. Last year I think it was September 2nd. This year it's September 7th, I believe. So a little later this year, and but man, it's going to be here before we know it. August 1st, people will start putting out. Hopefully, they've waited, Rich, right? And they start putting out their deer feed, and some people we get cell cam pictures or trail cam pictures in general all the time, and so we're excited. But Rich, tell us why is, and no one knows this better than you, because and let me say this about Rich. He called me earlier. He's already put in a full day work. He's already been to a club meeting in Northern Kentucky, and now he raced back home to be here. So I really appreciate you. Why is Kentucky every year regarded as one of the best deer hunting states, in the Midwest, Southeast?
So I think it's a great question, and throughout my life, I've been fortunate to live in rural Kentucky. And when we compare ourselves to the surrounding states, we're not quite as populated, and especially our neighbors to the north and some of the bigger cities. But if you think about our population being around 4 million with, 3 major metropolitan areas in Kentucky, there's a lot of open space. But to simplify this, we've got pretty good weather, which we all make weather jokes in Kentucky, but overall we have pretty good weather. We have a lot of water. We have a lot of nutrition, and it's no surprise that the thoroughbred industry thrives in Kentucky because of, rich soils,
Sure.
ideal climate. And ultimately, we've seen a lot of studies on genetics of whitetails that are in places that are less than ideal. And those animals can be moved or have been moved and studied, and we are in a place where we can grow healthy animals. And so from farms to quality timber, we have a lot of diverse terrain, and so I think that is a key component in terms of animal health. But then I have to give a huge shout out to the department, because
Sure.
prior to my tenure at the department, I always wondered why we didn't have rules and regulations that were perhaps more favorable to more bucks harvested, or maybe more opportunities for certain folks. And so we have plenty of opportunity. For example, deer season September 7th to January 20, but you can harvest 1 buck. And I think it's a key component when you see the age class of bucks that are going up. And for example, in the 80s and 90s, if we saw antlers in, Northeast Kentucky, we were telling stories, and, we saw a buck, we saw 2 bucks in a day if you had just a banner day. And now we've got an age class of bucks where it's very common to see 2+ year old bucks. And so we have a lot of great things going on in Kentucky. So 140,000 is a 135, 140,000 is an average harvest in the state.
Yeah.
But we've turned into one of the best Boone and Crockett states, which is a measure. I can say we don't want to get caught up on how many inches of antlers a buck has too much.
Right.
But for the average hunter, you have an opportunity to harvest a mature whitetail buck in Kentucky that is more than likely going to be healthy, not necessarily tick infested, not in a place where they don't have enough to eat. So we have the habitat, we have a lot of the ideal weather for deer, and in fact, I've just had a passion my whole life to hunt whitetail deer, and it's just so interesting, and it's great to have gone from just scarce and when I was a kid, I saw my first deer in 1986 to today. It's very reasonable to see them all over the place. So it's been a huge success.
I saw several today.
Yeah, but something we can't take for granted, and so
sure.
We are in first place when it comes to whitetail deer hunting in Kentucky.
Yeah, and so one thing that I was just talking to a guy today. And, for us here, Eastern Outdoors, man, we are all about opportunities. We have our deer camps. We want to bring people together, right? And honestly, when we all get together, hunting is our second priority. We just have a great time. It's a bunch of guys, sometimes gals. We've had guys bring a wife or girlfriend or whatnot. Sometimes the kids are there and enjoy. It's a great time. But I was telling the guy today, I was like, look, what we promote is just ethical hunting. So we don't say, hey, you need to kill a certain class of buck, or you need to stay away from does this time of year. So we try to celebrate everything. But I was telling a guy today about, Kentucky, we have, like you said, some of our neighboring states have a lot more people than we do population wise, but we have over 1 million deer. I can't tell you how many times Brian Blank, who does the marketing for you guys, is like, hey, you need to push you on your show. You need to push killing more does, man. We need to kill more does. We got over 1 million deer. So, just the from Eastern Kentucky to Western Kentucky, just a great opportunity for people to hunt however they want, right? To hunt within the limits of what you said. So if this was a presidential debate, which we've seen one of those, right, this year, I guess a good question would be, Rich, can you commit? Because people talk about this all the time. I don't know if they're scared or paranoid. I think it's safe to say you can commit to keeping the $1 rule in Kentucky, right?
Well, obviously, the one presidential debate was one too many for Americans.
Yeah.
And I will say that what's interesting about my job is I get to serve a commission that sets rules and regulations.
Right.
And say unequivocally, I don't think we have anybody that's pushing a $2 harvest.
Yeah.
But I will certainly always do that as long as I'm here because it's very important. But I would be remiss if I didn't touch on something that everybody here can do that's a deer hunter, and that is donate deer to Hunters for the Hungry and the
Sure.
Kentucky Hunters for the Hungry. And so I want to tell you just a little bit about that.
Yeah, go for it.
We are the first fish and wildlife agency in the nation that applied for a federal grant to facilitate the Hunger Initiative. And so when you take your deer to Hunters for the Hungry drop-off location, which is a deer processor,
right,
free of charge. So I don't want anybody to be confused that if you go out and harvest that doe, that you're going to have a barrier. I'm going to have to spend $50 to donate it to the Hungry, or I'm going to have to take a paycheck, and you don't have to do that. We take care of that. And the Kentucky Hunters for the Hungry group, they're a bunch of awesome people.
Yeah.
And we want to grow that initiative so you can do two things. You can have better deer hunting because we're harvesting does, and you can also help people that are less fortunate. And so we want to grow that, and we can grow that because we have the funding to do so.
Yeah, and that is, I've had guys. We've tried to help out with that some. We could certainly do a better job. We've had several guys that really didn't know about it, right? Didn't know you could even do that, but they want to keep hunting. But like my brother's a good example. He now has a family of 4. He's the only one that eats the deer meat, so he's like, I don't want to. So he will give it away. He'll donate it. Maybe a neighbor or something will take it, but I think that's something that we need to be more intentional to pushing as well. And that is a great initiative. Do you know how many families or how many pounds that were donated last year? Do you have any of those numbers? I should have told you that before, but I didn't think about it.
Yeah, so I think approximately 3,000 deer. But what's interesting about that, and another additive that we can plug in, you can keep some of your deer meat if you'd like to donate other parts of your deer meat.
Yeah,
and so we just don't have a barrier. So if you would like, check out Hunters for the Hungry, their website.
Yeah.
You can find the drop-off locations. And so, we're talking about tens of thousands of pounds of meat that's donated. But let's also say it's not punishment to have deer meat. I mean, it's fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Keep
great,
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Great protein. It can be some of the best meat that you can eat. And so look at your grocery bill.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
I've got 2 girls, man, that eat me out of house and home.
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, just a lot of us guys, I mean, look what we can eat, and look what our grocery bill has grown to. So not only hunting, but fishing as well. Yeah. When you buy that license, you can reduce your grocery bill. And that's something I think Fish and Wildlife agencies across America, we need to touch on. We need to make sure that people know that you can do this. And I've seen people go to Finn's Lakes and go catch some fish and have a meal that night.
A bunch of trout, yeah.
Yeah, so what an opportunity. But ultimately, go out and harvest some deer. Go to some Zone 1 counties. Go to some places where, farmers would love to have some does harvested. And anyway, you can help the farmer, you can help the community, and ultimately you can help those that are less fortunate.
Yeah. So guys, we have a few questions over here, and here's what we want to do. I will get to as many of those as we can. The ones that maybe we don't get to answer here, we always try to jump in the comments. But we also want you don't have to just answer questions. You can reply. Anything that he says you want to comment on, do that. It just helps get more people on and watching, and it helps us to kind of filter through everything. Rich, one of a couple of people have asked about this, and I think there's some confusion around it. So like I mentioned, August 1st, the bait ban is lifted. This is the second year we've done this, and everyone kind of assumes this is the ban on baiting has to do with deer season, but it really doesn't have a lot to do with deer season. It has to do with turkey season. So, can Rich does not claim to be a biologist, right? He's the commissioner, and he lets the biologists handle those things. But can you at least touch on that and kind of explain that? And someone asked, is it going to be lifted? I mean, I don't think there's any discussion of ending that anytime soon, right?
Yeah, so simply, we had a commission initiative that revolved around the survivability of turkey poults and turkeys, and there's a lot of research that suggests that when corn gets hot and it starts to grow mold or ferment, that it can be toxic to not only turkeys, deer, songbirds, all wildlife, and I think as far as we're concerned, we wanted to be proactive, and so our commission took action. And what we didn't want to do is we didn't want to reduce enthusiasm and participation. But what I think the commission had a reasonable approach when they decided, hey, let's start in August. But I would encourage those of you that continue to feed anything that can ferment. Well, I mean, again, oats or wheat or corn. If you're putting that out for wildlife, don't put it in big piles where it's going to sit there for days and get rained on and gather humidity or moisture. And so just use common sense, but it would be a travesty for you to be a landowner and go out and want to watch wildlife, and you're doing more harm than good. And I can say that many people have been guilty, including myself, about how we feed wildlife. And anyway, we certainly learn through experience, but who would have thought years ago we would be having this sort of discussion? So just use good common sense and try to take care of the wild animals just like you would domesticated animals.
Yeah. So and just kind of touching on, like you said, it's can be toxic to turkeys, and we've seen a sharp decline over in turkey numbers in states outside of us, right? Kentucky, and you'll hear different things. It's different in every county. Even one county can be great in the north and lack in the south of the same county. But overall, our numbers in Kentucky has been very strong. Our harvest numbers been strong. It's still, I always say, Kentucky is still, despite maybe some concerns that every state has now, it's still a great opportunity to kill a turkey. If you feel like and here's what we try to say here. If a hunter feels like, let's say the bag limit in Kentucky, it is 2 birds. Let's say they feel like it should be reduced to 1. Well, then take personal responsibility on your own property and just take 1 if you feel that way. But overall, Kentucky is still very conservative in their turkey season. It's a great opportunity. And but this was a step, like a preventative measure, right? So we stay at the top and we don't start to see a decline like these other states have.
Yeah,
some of them have gotten really bad.
Yeah, so that's another great point. And I want to tell you, we have one of the top turkey biologists in the country, in Zach Danks, and I have a ton of confidence in him. And I'd encourage those of you that love turkeys to get to know Zach. But Kentucky in 2008 to 2010, John and I spoke about this briefly before. We had a lot of birds, and even I was one of those hunters that thought maybe we should up those bag limits. Maybe we should harvest more turkeys. But the agency kept a steady hand. The commission kept a steady hand, and we maintained that 2-bird limit. And I will tell you this: I'm really thankful that we had the fortitude to stay steady. And with that, you get great results, great research. But keep in mind, it's all about the hatch. And if you don't have a successful hatch, we could have a bad year in the future. We could have bad years in the future, but then we can have peaks. And so our biologists have done a great job managing wild turkeys, because every year we're losing crucial habitat, whether it's row crops, it's subdivisions, it's new forward facilities, or we're building all this infrastructure. We're bringing people in. We're losing farmland and critical habitat. And that's we can have both. But the expectation from the hunters you made the best point that you can make. If you're concerned in your local area, Fish and Wildlife has seasons and bag limits that are either county or statewide specific.
Right.
But if you're worried about your own situation, take an initiative, take responsibility. And I can tell you, we did some really unique habitat work on some of our WMAs with, some folks want our WMAs to look like a golf course, for example. And we're trying to raise turkeys. We're trying to have trophy whitetails. We're trying to have quality bedding. These are for wildlife and for hunters and anglers to go out and enjoy. And so our goals don't always align. You can mow, you can spray, you can harvest timber, but you need a bigger strategy if you're trying to manage fish and wildlife. And it needs to be a plan of succession rather than a random plan. But John, the best point, I hope you constantly tell the listeners that, take ownership. Try to do what you can on your own property, and the agency will do what we can to help you as well.
Yeah, because you guys manage areas, zones, regions, statewide. I mean, you can't manage individual, properties, I guess, or even, and like if you look at the deer zones, just for an example, take a place like, I don't know, take Pulaski County, who's one of the best deer hunting counties in the state, but there's still people there that say, hey, I've not seen a deer on, I've not seen the quality deer that I'm used to seeing. And then, 10 miles down the road, there's a Boone and Crockett 185-inch deer, which they have had several in the last few years. So you guys can't microscopically manage, but everybody can do their own. So we did have some people, just kind of staying in that same lane of hunter opportunity and what you guys do to help manage land. I know there has been at least 55,000 acres, and correct me if that's the wrong number. I think it's right. 55,000 acres of public land added in southeastern Kentucky. I think it's Bell County, Leslie County, Knox County, maybe some other smaller areas added throughout the state. But I feel like over the last, say, 3-4 years, we've been seeing some acres added every year, and those are things you guys are trying to do and be creative with funds and whatnot. So how important is that, that Kentucky stays a place where, everyone has an opportunity, not just landowners?
Yeah, so public land initiatives are a key initiative, and I'll tell you something that you won't read about in the newspaper, and John, you probably don't know this, but we were stopped from buying land. Can you imagine a fish and wildlife agency with your own funding and you can't buy land?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Well, and so as you mentioned this, we keep seeing these gains like Yellowbank, like the TNC property in southeast Kentucky. We have federal dollars that the listeners, you pay taxes so that fish and wildlife agencies can use these dollars. Yeah. And when we got stopped in Kentucky through politics, when we got stopped in Kentucky, guess what was happening with those tax dollars? They were going to other states. And that's a real problem. And our fish and wildlife family of our license holders and our staff, they were saying, we need to be spending these dollars in Kentucky and making things happen. So the 55,000 acre acquisition is absolutely huge. Yeah. $147 an acre, and we use federal grants, and the General Assembly actually pledged the state match. This is a massive win. And you know what? I've heard a lot of people take credit for that project. A lot of people. But let me tell you who gets the credit for the project. The people that buy guns and ammo and buy hunting and fishing licenses.
Yeah.
I haven't heard one person congratulate them or thank them for what they've done to allow us to do the work that we do. And so to get 55,000 acres from a state where we were lucky to acquire anything in a specific year, it's a big win for us. And I'm really proud of our staff. Ben Robinson, we've had all these people working in grants that they know what they're doing. They're go-tos on a national level. and we're just fortunate to have people that love to hunt and fish on our staff. And believe it or not, in many states, you don't necessarily have end users that love to hunt and fish that work for Fish and Wildlife agencies, but
Yeah.
we have that. We have that, and we have people that have other interests, and I don't want to diminish that, but we have a lot of great people, and I'm just blessed to be a part of that. But if we didn't have public land, then about a quarter of our users wouldn't have a place to go, and so
Sure.
it's a big deal, and it's a big deal for the future of our agency to be able to allow public access so that people can keep this heritage going, so that we can fund it for another generation.
About, you said about a quarter of our hunters. Do you know roughly how many licensed hunters we have in Kentucky?
So both hunters and anglers, we're going to be 1 million plus.
Yeah,
We have more fishermen than we do hunters,
sure.
and so 350,000 to 400,000 people are going to hunt with a license. But as you know, we're license exempt for landowners. But a lot of these folks are the same people.
Yeah.
So arguably 1 million of Kentucky's residents plus are using the outdoor resources. But then just look at me for an example. Family of 4, my kids hunt some, my wife hunts some, but we have that support system. And so if we're 1 million or so, then we've got wives and children. And so it's a great deal of our state. But oftentimes people don't understand what's at stake when they buy a license. And I would tell any of you all, we all get cheesy gifts. People will give you a tie.
Oh, yeah.
People will give you socks. You know, you can't wear some of these socks in front of country boys. So buy somebody a license. Buy their license. I'll tell you what, we talk a lot about kids. It's important. Kids are our future.
It is.
But I'll tell you what, you might have a neighbor that's a widow that you need to take fishing. Give them a new purpose. And don't overlook, there's people that would love an outdoor opportunity. And we're the people. We're the people that need to encourage those people to go outside.
You don't have to convince the people watching this that they need to buy a license. They're going to. But every one of them probably knows somebody they could gift a license to, or, usually my introduction to the outdoors for people is like, they'll see, I've had several people actually in the last probably month. I've been taking my girls down to Elkhorn Creek, and we just go out there and wade fish, and they love it. And now they've got kayaks, so I'll fish and they'll go kayak and jump in and swim. And I've had several people reach out and like, hey, I've got everything you need. Just come join us. I promise you'll catch a fish. It's going to be fun. And if they'll just do that, they're, instantly enjoying. So that's my sister's one of them. My sister has been going with us. She bought, first time ever, she bought a fishing license this year. She'll be at UK in the fall, so I'm going to try to see if she'll go hunting. I don't know if she will, but I think everybody has someone they can introduce. Let's see what else we got here. Look, old buddy Kyle Sams is on here. Kyle's a good
There we go.
Yeah, Kyle's on here from time to time. What he does is he lingers. You don't hear from him, and then when you say something that kind of perks his ears, he'll comment. So, or if you give some misinformation about deer, he's on you. He's correcting it. Always encouraging to shoot more does as well. One cool thing about that 55,000 acres, Josh Wilson said that's a lot. One of the coolest things about it is based on the geography there, and let's just pretend that someone had all the necessary tags, you really could do deer, turkey, black bear, elk. I mean, any game that can be hunted for the most part, like major game in Kentucky, you're going to find on that 55,000 acres.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what's interesting about the property, and most of the listeners would know. You see these WMAs that we have in southeastern Kentucky, and you see these access agreements, and we have the National Forest. But in all fairness, we had very limited access because we have access agreements. And so landowners can choose to terminate that agreement.
Yeah.
And due to mineral issues and a multitude of things, mining and all kinds of heirs, leases, you name it, Southeast Kentucky is pretty difficult. And so I can't tell you how much the General Assembly helped us when it came to this deal and this acquisition, because they took the mineral portion out of the equation. And I don't want to overtalk this, but they made a complex situation very simple.
Yeah. Yeah. Me and Mike and Loman that was on here, probably still on here, Chris. I always try to get guys to go bear hunting with me. I've not been successful. Actually, I was just talking to a person I went to college with a couple of days ago, and they live up off of I'm talking like everybody's gonna know where I'm talking about. You probably will. They live on 221 between Pineville and Harlan there, where there's elk and bear. And I'm like, hey, do you ever see any black bears in there? And she's like, yeah, my husband, we literally helped the hunter haul one off the mountain. I'm like, all right, I need to come by there in October. But this, what we try to do is we meet, we kind of have a little camp, and then we disperse, right? And then we communicate, hey, I'm not seeing anything here, seeing a bunch of sign here, and we reconvene. So we'll definitely be hitting some of that Bell County. We'll be in Harlan, but we'll definitely be hitting some of that Bell County and checking it out. Bear season is one of my favorites. Probably everybody wants to kill an elk, but I just want a big Kentucky black bear with a rug, and just to show off here. I know Mike does too. Here's a personal question. What zone do you hunt, Rich? Jim wants to know. Jim always goes to bed early. He has to wake up early, so we'll ask there. What zone do you hunt?
Typically, I'll hunt in a zone 2, and we have a lot of deer because I'm on the edge of timber, rolling hills, and so we do have a lot of does, and we have a lot of quality bucks. And so in my lifetime, we really have seen maybe some of the smaller populations in the Commonwealth to some of the better. So that's a great question. I see Robbie's question about considering.
Yeah, I meant to ask that and I forgot. Yeah. So, but before you answer that, can you kind of and maybe you're going to do this, it's also a good opportunity, like people ask about the bait ban. That's not just something you guys just vote on one day and it goes into effect. So can you kind of touch on, hey, you're talking about the extended youth season, but there's a lot more talking to be done.
Yeah. So let's use the youth season that Robbie asked about. And it's a great question. And it hits home for me because I have 2 children.
Yeah.
And I'm about to run out of youth time. So we have proposed an additional week, which the beauty for me is we go to church on Sunday.
Yeah.
We don't just go to church on Sunday. We go to Sunday school, we go to church, we go to youth group. And so my kids can't hunt on Sunday. So if the weather's not good on Saturday, then we just missed out on youth season, turkey, deer. Okay. So his question to extend it would be 2 weekends and the entire week. And so I could take the kids. So I'm excited. I hope it passes. But then to John's question, when the commission votes, let's just say unanimously to extend a season, then we have General Assembly can reject that season. We have a reg review subcommittee, and then we have a natural resources committee thereafter. And so sometimes some things will get modified. It's checks and balances of government. It's good government. But at the same time, when we vote on something, it's not final. And so we're not the authoritarian, the final say, but most generally in working with the public, working with the General Assembly, it passes as intended. But sometimes there's changes, modifications, and in rare cases it's stopped. But don't want to overtalk that. But Robbie, I hope that you support the extended youth season like I do, because
Robbie's got 2 daughters like we do.
All right, hallelujah. And
I think it was his youngest daughter. I always get them mixed up. Robbie's a friend of mine. We coached softball against each other. Pretty sure my team beat his team out of the tournament last time we faced, just saying. And then his daughter just dominated my girls' basketball team this year. Like, just pushed us around, rebound. Like, she just dominated. But she killed a really nice buck last year, and we had it on I think we showed it on the show actually. But yeah, I hope that passes as well. I think, man, you know what, we also need something there that says, hey, during that week, if a kid goes hunting, it should be an excused absence at the school. That's what we need.
Well,
We need
if they're going to the right kind of school, absolutely. You know, that's principal ought to say that's a necessity. You get out of algebra, you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is kind of, I think Josh has a good point here, and I know this is something that you and I talked about. He says he thinks that there should be school programs to let kids get their hunter orange card. That's definitely not a department decision, right? That's a Department of Education probably decision, maybe.
It is, but I have some good news. Is that, by the way, a Josh Teeter that played golf? Like, is this different Josh Teeter? But anyway, there's
I know Josh has a lot of trail cameras out trying to find a big deer. I don't know about golfing though.
Well, I already like Josh because I see that big buck in the picture.
Yeah.
But anyway, the hunter orange card in schools, we in fact are working with the FFA to see if we can get schools to join forces with us to make that part of a program where it can happen. Because a barrier, if a kid doesn't get that orange card, it may not transition into a hunter. And so we are in most schools anyway, and our curriculum has no innuendo. It's just hunter safety. It teaches you ethics. It teaches you to cross fences, pick up trash, to be safe. It teaches you a multitude of things, and the hunting is a important part of it, and firearm safety, etc. But that's a perfectly timed question because we are working with the Commissioner of Agriculture, the FFA, and we want to be in every school that we can get in.
Yeah, you see some of these. I feel like it's always Western states, but you'll see kids, shooting. I guess they do like maybe trap shooting or rifle shooting. I mean, every college has those programs, so it'd be great if we could, especially with the all the like we're doing the squirrel hunting tournament here in August, which we need a lot of people to sign up for, and we've got two just incredibly nice air rifles that we're giving away. Like even if a kid starts off with something like that, it's any way to get them in there. And so the Hunter's Ed we talked about. I know Loman is a Hunter's Ed instructor. He had a comment about it I think earlier. But people are public land is something people keep bringing up, but we've had two questions about kind of work that you guys do on public land. And so I don't know. I know a few years back you came out with this system. You got like a high level maintenance to a low level of maintenance. And then, Bub asked about Eastern Kentucky really doesn't have like a high level WMA.
Mm-hmm.
Probably just because of the terrain, I would guess, and the agriculture, it's just kind of hard. Do you guys take that into consideration? Do you evaluate that? I don't know the process at all. Like, based on like how often it's visited on surveys, or just the need, or just the agriculture at that particular land. How is that kind of laid out, and does it change?
Yeah, so that is a great question, and it's a little more simple than what we may be touching on. So,
okay, sure.
John, you semi-answered the question. So there are properties in Eastern Kentucky that the only maintenance or management that we could do would be with a bulldozer, for example, or aerial spray with a helicopter or drone, perhaps prescribed fire. So there's a little bit of misconception. Hey, you're doing more to this particular property, but there's some properties that are just a little easier to manage, whether it's disking, to prescribed fire, to timber harvest. But keep in mind, in Eastern Kentucky, we're talking about a lot of federal property. We're talking about a lot of hunter access agreements as well. And so we have some limitations there where we can't just objectively say we're going to manage this according to our will. It's more of a handshake agreement. And so I am committed to finding those properties where we can have more intensive management, but it has to be, it's really as simple as high, medium, or high, moderate, and low.
Yeah.
And some of the low managed areas typically are small and they are very, very difficult to get to. But that could mean the best of both worlds for wildlife and opportunity for folks.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, here's the thing. Everyone wants great opportunities in their area, right? I mean, if you can walk down the road to just an incredible WMA or fishery, we all want that. The truth is, and I tell folks all the time, like the average sportsman in Kentucky, they just want to hunt, they want to fish, they want to enjoy it. They're not worried about the politics. They're not worried about the spending. They just want to enjoy what they enjoy. And most of the people, I would say 90% of the sportsmen in Kentucky are happy with how things are going. But those average people also don't know all the things that go on behind the scenes to have some of these opportunities, or, and we will not get into this, but I know, before certain laws were changed, I mean, you guys couldn't even purchase boats for your off. I mean, it was just your hands were tied on things you could do. So, money and manpower probably comes down to a lot, right? So a lot of it comes down to money and manpower.
Absolutely, and we are operating now like most fish and wildlife agencies operate in America, and so anyway, it's good stuff, and I want to thank everybody that buys a license. I just want to make sure that you know how much we appreciate that. Sure. We're a group of people that are like you. And some of the best compliments I've ever been paid. I went to a Coon Hunters Club meeting one day, and the guy stopped everything and he said, "Mr. Storm, you're like us." And that's a compliment to me. Sure. And so yes, we want to buy boats. We want to buy uniforms that look sharp. We want trucks that are clean, that have good tires on them. We want our officers to be safe. We want to produce a great Kentucky Afield product that people enjoy to watch. We want highly managed, intensive WMAs. And so we do a lot. But keep in mind, we're one of the smallest budget fish and wildlife agencies in America. And we are one of the agencies that's funded with hunting and fishing licenses. Many states get oil and gas royalties. Many get sales tax. Many get different pieces. And so the way we operate super efficient, it would blow you away to understand that our Kentucky Afield team is a shell crew, a small crew, and we produce all those episodes on a shoestring budget.
Yeah.
And we produce a quality product that people couldn't spend 10 times more on and produce a better product. And I'm really proud of those guys for what they do, and they promote Kentucky. And, sometimes we take that show for granted about how efficiently they run that. And anyway, great people. Thank you guys for an awesome show.
Yeah. And big Anthony has to go. He said his family's got movie night on the projector, but he said he buys a license every year, even though he owns his own land. And look, Stephen here. Stephen says, "I think we have the right man leading the department." There you go.
Well,
just thank you. Man of the people here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chuck says he watched Kentucky Field Weekly. I can't tell you, things are trending to where a lot of people they're watching shows on YouTube and on the Roku or their phone or iPad or something. But Kentucky Field is one show that anywhere you go in Kentucky, and it's usually kind of a middle-aged to older demographic that's seen it for years, that everybody watches. Right? It's on their TV. I'll be honest, I don't know I don't know their schedule when it airs, but I keep up with it online. But it's just something that people still enjoy. It's the longest running show in America, right? Outdoor show in America now.
It is, and it airs early on Sunday morning, and then most of our watchers, more than 1 million. I mean, think about that. More than 1 million people tune in and watch Kentucky Field.
Yeah,
but they care about it, and we produce a product like we're not pushing things on people like most TV. Watch TV and say, what are they really trying to get us to do? Well, I can tell you this: we love Kentucky. and we love the outdoors in Kentucky. And those guys, they do a fantastic job. And last week I saw Jameson Standard out in Eastern Kentucky, and
he's a camera guy, right?
Yeah, just loves to hunt. He's an end user. I mean, he loves deer as much as we do.
Yeah, I see him out. I think he takes his dad or his grandpa hunting every year. I always see his pictures.
Yeah, it's his dad, and he's got all these great stories. But he's out filming a new boat structure, a new fishing pier that we're putting in Greenup, and just loves it. I mean, I'm looking over at him and he's smiling. He's just happy to be part of it, and made my day just to see him out there. And
absolutely.
So anyway, we got all kinds of great stuff going. We, boat ramps, fishing access, fins, lakes. We stock 6 million fish a year.
Yeah.
And we have all kinds of access all over the state. And I will say, we talk a lot about deer and turkey on your show.
Yeah.
But fishing, have you ever been to the Cumberland tailwaters? Have you ever fished Kentucky or Barkley Lake?
I have done both of those. Actually, Kentucky Phil was just on Kentucky Lake with the high school state champs, which I thought was cool to have them out there.
Yeah,
I would bet that the high school kids outfished Chad and whoever else was out there fishing with them. Those guys are good out there.
They are. They're awesome.
But yeah, used to, I would go on and see what which fish are stocked where and whatnot. What are most of those fish coming out of the hatchery here in Frankfort? This is just a personal question because I fish elkhorn up there near the hatchery, and I always wonder what's coming out of there.
So I can tell you this: we stock so many fish that I can't answer that question with a great deal of accuracy. But
yeah,
so we have the hatchery, the Pfeiffer hatchery, but then we have the Minor Clark hatchery down by Cave Run Lake, and then we also get some fish from the Federal Wolf Creek, which is at the tailwaters or by the tailwaters of Lake Cumberland. And then occasionally, I know this sounds fishy. Well, as well have us a pun here, but occasionally we'll have other states that will have an opportunity for us to take their catfish, or they'll have a situation where they'll offer us free fish. And so we usually, when the situation's right, native species, then we'll take those. And so we get fish from a multitude of places. And I will tell you, the key thing I would want to say to folks, if you're wanting to manage your own pond, make it reproductive, make it conducive to, you need habitat structure, you need fertility, and you can do that. You can do that in your own pond. And so there's so much opportunity when it comes to fisheries. And so we've got private lands biologists, our fisheries biologists. They will give you the tips. They'll tell you how to achieve what you would like to achieve on your own property. And what you'll love the most about it is you'll love the price, because we do that for free.
Yeah.
So if you reach out to us and you want some tips, you want better, let's just say you want better habitat for small game on your farm, we will come and do that for free.
Yeah, we try to, Mike's had someone out, the name's slipping me, to look at his farm there in northern Kentucky. And I think that's something that people don't realize. If you own your own land and you through pond in there too, these private land biologists come out for free. They'll help kind of construct a plan for you. And Mike said it's Randall Alcorn. Mm-hmm. And I think more people need to take advantage of that. Now, some people want to handle it their own. That's fine. It's their land. But that's a great program. Bub just bought some land in eastern Kentucky. He's got a pond on it. I don't think he's been hunting that land forever. Never seen him kill a deer on it. So maybe he needs some help out there.
Well, that's a good guy there, Bub Tackett. I've enjoyed some conversations with him, and
he's a good feller.
Yeah, I hope when he gets those fish stocked in that pond, he'll give us a call so we can come out and take some samples for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Chuck says this would help. Has a question about slot limits for Kentucky high school tournaments. That I know that's a question for probably the fisheries biologist, but I mean, do we do anything to kind of help promote that, or is
So,
that's just up to the lake, right? The fishery.
well, it simply the fisheries division wanted to be consistent across the board,
Yeah.
and not Kate. Like for example, um, a bass fishing tournament would come to town, they would ask for exemptions. I do think the department requested those at times in the past, but
Yeah.
for consistency, they said we either need to do it for all or do it for none. And
Yeah.
so that's that's something that I can't really say that I have much of an opinion on, but
Right.
that's kind of the directive that I was given when I started at Kentucky Fish and Wildlife.
Yeah. Gotcha. Well, we got 10 minutes left here. I think the biggest thing, and this is what we try to do, like I said, we have this squirrel hunting tournament the 17th. We're going to be at the Antler Builder event the 3rd. We're hoping everyone this Saturday, hoping that you'll be there. Hoping everybody can make it to that. That's nearby. Bub has I'm going to butcher the name, something like the 606 Expo at Pike County, going on the end of the month with the NWTF turkey calling state championship there. He was able to get that. So we just try to get everyone out and involved and engage and build communities. How can your average sportsman, whether they're a hunter, fisher, both, trapper, shooter, boater, how can they, if they want to get involved, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, first, and I've touched on this earlier, buy hunting and fishing licenses and buy them through your friends and family. It gives the agency resources to do more. So sometimes
that money, 100% of that money goes to you guys, right?
It does, and as a matter of fact, in some cases we can get 90 or even 100% federal grants to do projects, and most are 75-25. But that gives our agency the ability to do the projects that you want in your community.
Sure.
And so when you're saying we would like to see habitat work, or we'd like a boat ramp, we'd like to see you plant some oaks, or whatever the case is. When we have the funding, then we can do it. And then let me talk about my people. I mean, geez,
sure.
we haven't touched on that at all. We have great people. And I've been fortunate to be here during a time where we've been able to give raises to our employees. Mm-hmm. Look at what's happened to our economy. I mean,
it's rough.
Everything has gone through the roof. I am so thankful for you all that bought a license, and you bought licenses so that we could take care of our people, so we still have a department. Thank you for that. You're part of that. But pay equity and keeping our people and being able to give some raises to people that are long overdue, because we had staff that had gone 8 and 10 years with no increment of any kind. And so if you know anything about employment, you're only as good as your people.
Yeah.
I get to work with fine people. If you like Kentucky Fish and Wildlife, chances are you like our people. You may not like one of them. You may not like something, but we have good people, and they're usually smiling. They're usually happy about what they do. So thank you all, because we've been able to do this. But we need your support. So long term, what do you want to do? Buy a hunting and fishing license, buy one for somebody else, take somebody. But let me tell you what, I just left the Northern Kentucky, the 5th District folks. They have something special up there. They mingle. They've got the Northern Kentucky quail people. They've got Unlimited, Northern Kentucky fly fishermen. Anyway, not to just to beat a dead horse here, but they just had a Whistler's Day event. It's second to none in the state. My kids like to go. You can go out and shoot archery. You can shoot a pistol. You can do all these activities that are exciting for kids. And anyway, they're raising money to help send kids to camp. They're raising money to further their cause. And so I encourage you, start with a small goal. Yeah. Maybe you want to work on a piece of property and enhance habitat. But if you get people pulling the same direction, we can do some monumental things. Just like if you told me we were going to be able to acquire 55,000 acres in 2019, we couldn't buy an F-150 in 2019. And we've been able to do some of this stuff, and it's because of all kinds of people. It's not self-gratification, but people working together, you can do great things. And so it starts with you and it ends with you. We need your help. And so follow through with excitement about the outdoors. Be a good example in the outdoors. You only have one chance to live. Be a good neighbor. Be a good steward. Pick up the trash. Shoot that one turkey if you think that's all you can take. Do the things John talked about, and we have a great future, and it's an honor it's just an honor to be part of it, and I'm gonna support it even after I'm long gone. And that's there's just not many places that you can do that, and you can be excited about the cause. And again, big thanks to the people, big thanks to the license holders, and thanks to the commission too for these people work for free, and they take a lot of heat over a lot of small issues, and they take heat over big issues. But thanks to them for what they do, and they're noble men, and they try their best to serve the public.
Yeah, we got some new ones on there. I've not really had a chance to meet or talk to yet. We need to maybe have a couple of them on there. I don't know if that's kind of putting them under the fire there. I think Kyle here, your buddy Kyle, he had to bring in he says, do we have a high level update? So not getting in the weeds, just a high level update on the CWD. I know that was also kind of discussed and tabled for the next commission meeting.
Mm-hmm.
As far as taking more deer out there. Where are we at as we get into the season here in 5 weeks?
Yeah, so simply, we had the one positive doe in Ballard County.
Yeah.
And we haven't found any more. We've done intensive testing, so that's good news.
Yeah.
But you're going to see more of the same. So we have 8 counties that are in that surveillance zone. You'll continue to see those same restrictions on baiting, and we will be doing check stations during gun season. So we're talking about Fulton, Callaway, Marshall, Hickman, Graves,
Caldwell,
Marshall, and Callaway. I think
Callaway. Yeah, there you go.
So those counties are CWD surveillance zone, and I was hopeful. I was really hopeful that the original 5 we were going to be able to lift that baiting ban in the surveillance zone, and then we had the positive in Ballard, and so we're optimistic that we won't have any more positives for a long while, but we are surrounded, folks, and CWD is on the landscape in surrounding states, and it's something that we're going to have to learn to live with and manage. And so, Kyle, I miss you, by the way. Good smiling face, just a quality young man.
Good mountain guy. He's from the mountains down there in Bell County with us, right down the road from where I'm from. So.
Oh yeah, top shelf. But
he's going to be hunting with us. He's going to come down and join me and Mike on the squirrel hunt here on opening day. So
yeah, well, good.
Yeah, man. I think just Kentucky's in a great spot. I mean, we you're not going to hear us here say anything bad about it. Now, it doesn't mean, over the past 4 years we've been doing this that we've always 100% been on, agreed, but we've always 100% supported, right? So
yeah,
we'll keep doing that. And man, I'm just glad I know you travel all over the state going to clubs and stuff, but here you can just sit at your house and do this once a month and keep everybody in the loop.
Yeah, well, you send me the invite, and we'll be glad to come on anytime. But I can also tell you can get some real bandwidth with some of our other staff too. That they just it's so interesting to hear what they have to say about the specifics of their job.
Yeah,
and, they can touch on subjects. I mean, as long as I've been there, I'm in awe when I talk to a number of these folks. I mean, I could just name one right after another, but they're so good at what they do. And so I encourage you to stay in touch with us, stay in touch with our staff. I appreciate the program that you have here. It's good, clean. It's good, clean fun, and I think it's family friendly and good content. I always enjoyed it.
It does that every time it turns 10 o'clock.
That means it's time for Commissioner Storm to stop talking.
No, you know what? That's one thing. We enjoy the show. The best part of what we do here, and I mean, we have said from the very beginning, we're not experts. We just like to bring guys like you on who are experts, right? So what we enjoy doing here, the best part of it is just meeting folks. And we had almost 25 people at a turkey camp in the spring. One guy drove all the way from Canada, another one came from Arkansas, a couple from Tennessee, everybody else from Kentucky. We're going to do a couple deer camps, have 20-some people there, and then we do this. And this is the reason we like to do it live, is because we involve the people who are watching, right? It's like we're all sitting around. So we appreciate it. We appreciate everybody who watches every Tuesday. And, if anyone watched tonight and this first time, we'll be here next Tuesday at 9 o'clock. So, Rich, you are always welcome to join us. I know you're busy. There are some folks at the department that I hope we can have on throughout the year. Kyle is no longer with the department, but he's going to come on soon, I think. And so just here to have a good time and maybe learn from each other and move forward.
Well, you guys are awesome. Thank you for the invitation, and you all have some great content, great people. Look forward to seeing Mike, and may bump into him this weekend. But we'll see.
He'll be there.
Yeah.
So he told us he wasn't going to be able to make it because of vacation, but then his daughter had I think cheerleading tryouts or practice. So his wife said, "We're coming back early. She's not missing practice." So now they're coming back. So thankfully he listens to his wife.
Well, God bless you all and all that you do. And again, thanks for.
Yeah. Hey, we appreciate you, brother. We'll see you on Saturday.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Have a good one. Guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next Tuesday. Have a good night.